I've been a professor of viticulture in the horticulture department at Oregon State University, now going on my 19th year.
Wow.
Mostly work with grape growers, commercial grape growers in the state of Oregon, as well as teaching and training undergraduate and graduate students. And been working with Woodhall Vineyard here specifically since I've been hired. And we use this site in particular for teaching, of course, but also for research, various research projects over time. I did not grow up growing grapes.
Yeah.
That is something I decided for a career. I did grow up, I've always been in agriculture, grew up in the dairy industry in Wisconsin. I grew up on my family's dairy farm, decided I did not want to work in dairy for the rest of my life. So when I went to school, I chose horticulture, which was unique. We didn't do any horticulture on our farm. It was always crops and forages and to basically support the dairy cattle. Got my undergraduate degree in the University of Wisconsin at River Falls, which is in the western part of the state of Wisconsin. Loved that program, learned all areas of horticulture, but decided I wanted to go into education for industry, so doing extension. So that's what extension is. It's an arm of the university that teaches lifelong learning to different people in the public. In my case, it's grape growers. And so I knew I needed to go to graduate school in order to be prepared to do that kind of work, and did my PhD work at Purdue University with grapevines, so specialized in viticulture. So that's the science of growing grapes. After I completed my work in the state of Indiana with Purdue University, I came out here and started working in 2007 as a state viticulturist and an assistant professor.
Do you want to talk to us all about what's going on with the grapevines
so
right
these
now?
grapevines, these were planted in 2006. So they're what we would consider mature producing grapevines. These are Pinot Noir. And it's really difficult for most people to know what variety it is just by looking at it. Of course, I know because I've been working here for a long time. And we are at early part of the growing season. I think this is one of the prettiest parts of the growing season. So we're past bud break. That was about a month ago. So now we're at the stage where we're getting these young shoots, and the grapevines like to put out a whole bunch of shoots at the head, and anywhere that a grapevine's kind of amazing. Wherever there's wood, it will grow new shoots, except for this wood. This will only grow from the buds that are on it. And so that's our primary fruiting zone. And we're at the stage where we have to come in now and shoot thin so that there isn't too much shoot growth that goes into this narrow canopy that everybody loves to see in a pretty vineyard is this narrow canopy. But we really want to focus on having the shoots that are going to carry the fruit, and get rid of the extras that will create too much clogging up the space and lead to some more disease development that we don't want. So that's what we're doing this time of year. We basically come in, and some people would probably cringe. It's like, what are you doing? But basically, you just have to take off all the shoots that you don't want. And that's to allow us to have that nice growth of what we do want. And like I said, grapevines are resilient. They'll push out more shoots even as we go into the season. But it's these ones that start the relay race early. Those are the ones we want to carry our fruit and to develop during the growing season. So
I'm going to grab these little ones down here.
Yep. Then there's little buds that'll we kind of, and that's why I'm wearing gloves. It's kind of rough, and you just run them off the vine. And we have a number of people here today that now's the perfect time. This is exactly when we want to be doing it, when our shoots are about average 6 inches or a little bit longer, just so that we know whatever's been growing is going to be here, and we take it off. So these grapevines, first of all, they're all grafted. So most vineyards throughout the world, including here, are grafted, meaning that we have them on a different root system of another grape species to help them withstand the soil and other pests. So that's this part down here. Then we've got the graft union. It's usually a little bit more bulged. And then we've got the trunk. We train that up. That's our, like any other tree or shrub, you've got a trunk. But then we've got this zone here. This is our fruiting zone. This is always the zone we're managing. And so what these vines are is what is called cane pruned. So that what's put out here is a piece of wood that grew last year. It's laid on the trellis. And so there's a wire here, we wrap it around, and all of the buds that were developed last growing season, they grow up and they carry the fruit. So all of the fruit clusters were developed during last growing season inside this tiny little bud, and they grow up into the canopy. And that's what we're preserving here. Cane pruning just uses a whole shoot, basically a whole shoot that's been laid down. Each one of these are buds that were developed last growing season. There's other types of pruning style that you can do. We tend to do mostly cane pruning for Pinot Noir and Chardonnay, are two most common varieties. And this vine, because of the spacing, we have so much space between these. We put in 2 canes. We keep 2 canes from the one trunk. One goes this way, one goes the other way, and same with the next vine over. We've got one, and that's called bilateral canes. So we've got 2 canes that form the main structure of our vine, and then everything grows up. And we've got 2 sets of catch wires here that are actually movable. So as the shoots grow, we will comb them up. We take down the wires, comb them up, and keep them nice and tidy so they don't flop over. All of these shoots have their clusters on them already, and you can actually see them here.
Oh,
but
they're babies.
Yeah, they're babies. They're kind of cute, and they always stay about in this zone right here. So the shoot will continue to grow, but their clusters are within the first 5 nodes, or kind of areas where these leaves are. The clusters are there. They'll always be at this bottom part, and the canopy will come above, and it'll even fill up to here, and we'll even have to send equipment through to hedge the vines to keep it from getting too far into the row or too far, flopping over. Shoot thinning, there's actually, some people call it sucker removal or sucker thinning. Suckering is another term in the industry that people use. Ideally, you would only do 1 pass. However, it's about getting the timing just right. So we have the luxury here at a research vineyard where we can kind of time things, where we don't have hundreds of acres. We know that we have probably only about 8 acres planted here that we have to get through, and we can say, okay, we're going to wait till the perfect stage. If we came in earlier, we probably would have to come back in, just because not everything would have grown, especially in these what we call adventitious shoots on the trunk. That's where, when we do our thinning on the cane, that's a once and done. But anything, can be more shoots that grow on any of this older wood. And so sometimes it's down at the base, sometimes it's all along here, and sometimes it's at the head. So ideally, you would get it timed right, so you would only have to do it once. And sometimes people will do multiple passes. But will it kill the grapevine if you don't do it? No. The grapevine would be absolutely fine. It's more of what level of shading you want to have, what kind of fruit quality would result. And really, a lot of that just comes down to how much the vineyard is able to sell their fruit for, and the cost of the bottle of wine. If it's, if they know they can't recoup their costs, they might only do a thinning pass once. And there's some vineyards that never do any thinning passes. And our industry here in Oregon, because we're a premium industry, we're almost always cane pruning, almost always shoot thinning. So what I've found in even looking at data from growers is that standardized practice means that we have a certain number of shoots per linear foot. And that means our yields are already set by that base, just doing that. So we are controlling our crop level too by doing cane pruning and shoot thinning at this stage. That later season, we don't necessarily have to do as much crop correction if we have too much. So the typical training system that we see here, and I would argue most people, when they think of a vineyard, think of what we have as our training system, which is a vertical hedge. But in technical terms, it's called the vertically shoot positioned canopy, so VSP for short. And so that's the lingo that everybody uses. Technically, it's called a guyot, which is a French term. It's Guyot. It just means that we've got canes on a single plane, and all of the shoots get trained up. And the reason why it's so common here is because it is the training system that is typically best suited for cool climates. So we're in a cool climate region. Why it's suitable for cool climates is because we have limitation to sunlight and heat. And so all of your canopy gets pretty well exposed during the growing season or during the day if the rows are north and south oriented, which these rows are, so that you have full exposure of your canopy in the morning. There's middle of the day, they're not getting much, like at solar noon, but afternoon you're getting more. So you're maximizing solar exposure, which is beneficial for ripening cool climate in cool climate regions.
Okay.
Yeah.